Thank you guys for hopping on. I know that it is stressful to get on sometimes, and a lot of people are busy this week. But Sam asked me to talk about how I fit coaching into a full-time career. And sometimes it's really tough, and it's hard to balance and know, where you draw your boundaries and how you kind of start from the beginning. And it's definitely been a process and I'm still learning, but hopefully I can give you some tidbits to help you, since I know a lot of you do work. So the first thing I wanted you guys to do was write down on a piece of paper, on average, how much time do you spend per day on Beachbody? Just in general, think about it. And it's probably different for everybody, and that's okay. But something that I picked up in the last week was, if you count the hours in a week, there's 24 hours in a day times 7, and that's 168 hours per week. And if you're working, you're usually working 8 to 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. So that's going to be down to 123 hours. You're going to take out 40 to 45. And then you kind of fit in 8 hours of sleep a night, even though I'm sure a lot of you don't get that. And you're down to about 67. And then if you add in about 3 hours a day for miscellaneous stuff, you're down to 46 hours a week. And it sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, there's 45 hours that I could easily fit into my Beachbody coaching. And even if you took half of that, 20 hours a week, it sounds crazy, but it's totally doable. So I kind of liked that I broke it down and thought about it that way, because sometimes I get so overwhelmed that you're like, I never have enough hours in a day. Where can I fit it in? So what I'm going to try and share with you is some things that have helped me with time management, probably some of your hardest things to stay on top of, being organized and consistent. So what I want you to think about is, if there's 20 minutes in a day that you usually end up dozing off or watching TV, hitting the couch, going for a snack, something mindless. And for me, I've taken those 20 minutes and added in personal development, because I didn't take personal development seriously in the beginning, and that's absolutely what held me back as a coach. I just felt so overwhelmed and tired, and it was the first thing to go. But the 3 things I think you really have to focus on when you're working full-time, or even just trying to find structured time within your day to fit Beachbody in, is to really be accountable to yourself first and foremost. Because when you set out your goals and you write them down, you have to hold yourself accountable to them and stay true to what you say you're going to commit to do. And secondly, you have to have those goals written down and always have actions that are meeting those goals. So it's great to say you want to be a 5-star coach, but what are the actions that you're going to do daily to get there, right? Because if we don't have actions, then what's the point of having the goal? I mean, it just sits out there in limbo and you never know how to achieve it, right? And then lastly, personal development. So that's why I was kind of asking you, think about those 20 minutes a day, because personal development has been the single thing that has pushed me through the times where I want to come home and go to sleep, when I want to not message anybody, when I want to sit and watch The Bachelor and do nothing else. So I would say that's the last but most important thing, especially when you're working full-time, to keep yourself in the right mindset. So let's just kind of go through some things that have helped me, and they might be kind of across the board, but I just tried to make a list of kind of what I have developed over time that's worked for me, and hopefully that can work for you. So I have a binder for Glow Dynasty, and I've broken it up by tabs, and you can break them up however you want, but one of them is Power Hour, challenge groups, meal planning, I forget the other 2, probably lists and stuff. But I always have to be working from a list, and I always like to keep a list of forms in that binder with me wherever I go. Because if I'm sitting, to meet a friend and they're 10 minutes late, like I can fit it in there. I can fit 10 minutes of forms in. So I'm kind of always looking for those pockets of time, and I always need to have that list with me. And if you're not a paper and pencil person, you've got to get on Evernote. I copy all of my scripts for my emails, my challengers, anything that you would send to your challengers or coaches, you can copy paste in there. You can put the whole script for the 21-day fix if you want to start post-crowning and planning your next challenge group. So that no matter what, I always have all of that stuff with me right in my phone. And it's called Evernote, E-V-E-R Note. And you can organize it by categories. If you Google, there's some videos on how to set it up. But that's really helped me for on the go and being able to tell my coaches, like, okay, go here. Like, I don't need to think about it. And then I'm sure most of you have explored post-cron for those of you that are new. And I think that's so key for challenge groups. It's funny, Noel and I were talking last night. She's like, I don't like to post-cron sometimes for my challenge groups because I feel like it's not genuine. And personally, I couldn't imagine not post-cronning my challenge groups because it's just so much to keep up with daily. And that doesn't mean that I don't check in with them daily. Of course I do, but I know the post goes up at the time I want it to go without even thinking about it. So that's been really key for me for challenge groups. Okay, let's see what else. You want to always have kind of visual tracker of your rank or your team. And this is something I just got a couple weeks ago, like a big dry erase board. And I started, can you guys still hear me? Can you still hear me? I'll just keep going. Well, I got a big dry erase board and started putting my coaches on there because a mistake that I made when I was trying to hit Diamond in April is I didn't understand that I had to have active discount coaches under me. So it's really important to watch what your challengers are doing and your discount coaches under you and keeping track of where they are. So for me, having that visual tracker is really key. And on top of that, I have a small dry erase board next to my desk where I track my daily actions for forms, follow-ups, friend requests, and invites so that I can be accountable to myself and compete against my own work ethic because I can tell exactly where I'm slacking off or what day I need to step it up based on those goals that I set out for myself. And it doesn't mean that I'm always perfect. I mean, who is? We're all human. But I can consistently go back and say, you know what, like, I need to be a little bit more consistent here, or this isn't working well for me, or I didn't invite enough here. And I think it's really good to track that week to week within the month so that you can see where you can improve upon. And really tracking who you're talking to, whether that's an Excel document. I know people like to use Google Documents the same way, or Asana is something that I haven't done yet, but I probably should. It's ASANA, and you can basically tag names in there based on what you talked about and put a calendar date and time when you follow up with that person if you have trouble keeping track of people. So that's another good tool you can explore. But for me, it came down to, like, how can I sacrifice a little bit here and there to propel myself in the future? And for me, that meant waking up a little bit earlier because I'd rather get some actions done before I go to work than think about everything I have to do at work that day after work. But that's just kind of my personality. I like to have a little bit of that chunks done so I don't have to be overwhelmed when I get home. So just thinking about when you work best. If you're a morning person, like, wake up a half an hour earlier. If you're a night person, wake up a half an hour or stay up a half an hour later. Just think about when you're most productive. Eliminate distractions, of course. You know, you have to make some choices at times depending on what your goals are and what you want to achieve. And that's kind of personal. But remember that you're building this for freedom of your future. And for me, it's been sacrificing a little bit now because I know in the end that I'm working for that freedom and that time to myself and that spontaneity. So it's worth me giving up a little bit of here and there to gain so much in the future. Keep your binder organized, and Sundays are your best friend, of course. I always like to start a new week fresh, and like I said, it doesn't always happen if I'm traveling, but I always have the best intentions, and I think if you can keep that running list going of who you want to talk to, that's really key in keeping you on track no matter where you are. And don't be afraid to split up your power hour. You know, there's increments of 10 and 15 minutes. If I can grab 10 minutes at lunch and do all of my forms for the day, like, it's done and out of the way. I mean, it seems silly, but you don't need to group it in this big bulk of an hour if that doesn't work for you. But most importantly, also have a vision board. Know where you want to go and what you want to achieve. If you haven't thought deeply about your why lately, take some time and do that, because that vision board should be by your desk or wherever you do your work, so that when it comes to the days you just feel like giving up or you're exhausted or someone's comments are bringing you down, like, that should be the thing that says, you know what, I'm not going to make that an excuse. I came to be disciplined and I'm doing this because of my why, and it's going to carry me through. Because it's a roller coaster. There's good and bad days. We all know that. It's not perfect, but it's so worth it when you really keep putting your heart out consistently. And after a year, I can fully say, like, I never would have saw myself here. So it's just been amazing, and I'm always learning. Like, I always am trying to look for new ways to be more efficient. But it definitely becomes hard at times, but it really just fit it in how it works for you. So the last thing I had was just structure your time now so you can build your freedom later, right? I mean, the whole point of you doing this is so that you can travel, or you can be with your family, or you can do the things you want out of life. Go part-time, go full-time with coaching. Give yourself that structured time now so you're not overextending yourself all of the time. It works the same way with challenge groups. If you plan a little bit ahead of time, it'll be so much easier for meals that whole week through. So that's kind of what I had. I don't even know how much time that was, but if you guys have any specific questions, I can open it up or unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have a job where a lot of times I can't be on the internet all the time at work. So some days I can, but other days it's just not possible. So, and I mean, there are days that I work over, or weeks that I work over 50 hours a week. So at that point, it's already cutting into that extra 45 hours or whatever that we'd have for the week.
Right.
So I think that that's something I'm struggling with, is figuring out exactly how many people is manageable to be talking to at one time, while still, maintaining good relationships and not feeling like I'm waiting more than 24 hours to respond to someone. So I don't know if you've ever had busier times at work where you've had to deal with this, but I wanted to know if you had any experience with that, or if anyone else does as well.
Yeah, I can definitely speak for myself. In the fall, I was on a project where I was at work till midnight, almost every single day, from 8 to midnight. And it was rough. You feel like you barely have time to sleep and shower. But I switched my personal development to podcasts because of that. Your work might be different, but I listen to music at work, so I replaced music time with personal development time. And even if I wasn't able to fit in conversations, I knew that I was fueling my brain with positive intentions so that when I did find those 10 minutes, I would get it done. You know what I mean? Does that help?
Yes, that helps. And I try to do the same with podcasts. So I'm overloading on personal development sometimes, but I guess that's okay.
No, I think you can never get enough personal development. I think it's important to remember, like, if you have a big takeaway from personal development, like, don't be afraid to take that 5 minutes and put it into action. And there's times that it's tough. There's times, you know, it becomes a lot, but, you know, you do your best and you fit it in, just like what Sam said. I think as long as you feel good about it and finding the balance, just know that every day is different, and sometimes you can't control that, you know. What else?
I have something.
Yeah.
Can you share when you wake up and when you go to sleep?
Oh, when? Okay, what time?
Yeah.
So I set my alarm for 5:30, but I usually wake up around 6:15. And then I'm a morning person, so I like to get out of bed and get my workout in. So that's like a non-negotiable. No matter what, I'm always putting my actions in, because I feel like if you're not benefiting yourself first, I mean, what's the point in this journey? You know, you have to give yourself love first. And I usually get home around 5:30, eat dinner, and then when I'm studying for my exams, I'll do like an hour of that, and then an hour to 2 of Beachbody. As you guys know, you probably see me on Facebook at work too, so my work's a little bit more lenient, but I'd say I go to sleep around 10:30. I don't know, 10:30.
Okay. I was wondering what your time frame is. I'm personally such a night owl that it's me waking up at 6 would be because I have to get on the road to go somewhere.
But I think that's important. Like, it's different for everybody. Noelle and I were talking this week about, you know, how do you create structure when she has a little bit more freedom with when she does her vital behaviors. But I think that's also important to create structure, because I reminded her that she wants more time with her husband. So why take that away when she could fit in 3 solid hours of undivided attention time, you know? Teacher's life, yeah. I know, it's rough.
Hey, I think it's wrong that 6-year-old kids have to wake up and get on the bus at like 6 a.m. That's not fair. That's a whole nother story for another time.
Our little ones get an extra hour, actually. It's the older ones that have to be on the bus at 6 a.m.
Oh, gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Education.
So
anyway,
I actually have a question too. Thank you. My question is, so like my school firewalls me from everything, like even my own cell phone. I can't get on Facebook at school at all.
Wow.
I don't know if I can get on Messenger. I didn't have it last year, so maybe I could get on that. I'm not sure, but I don't know how to deal with that once we go back, you know, managing conversations and things like that, and not letting people feel like I'm neglecting them and like not answering for forever. So do you have any tips for that?
I believe when you send messages on Messenger, even if you're blocked, like if I were on airplane mode, you can still type it in and send it, and it will just say like retry. Someone else back me up, that maybe they know, but I'm pretty sure if you send it, and then when you're out of school, Danielle, you could just go back and hit send again, and the message is already there.
Okay, thanks. And then I have one more other question. Mm-hmm. Like I definitely feel like my life right now is consumed with all of this stuff, which I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. But do you ever feel like you're doing too much? And like, do you schedule certain times during the day where you're like, okay, I'm only going to work this time? Like, does anybody do that? Like, I'm trying to I feel like I'm kind of neglecting Zach a little bit because I'm like constantly on my phone now texting people. And do you ever like say, I'm going to work at this time?
Yeah. I mean, I always have the best intentions. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I think it's really important if you do have a spouse, like put your time with Beachbody in, and then put your phone on airplane mode and give them your full attention. That was one of the things we talked about at Summit. They had a whole seminar on, because you're building this to have more time with them. And yes, it takes sacrifice, but that shouldn't mean that they never get time with you, right? And the people that send out the messages are going to be there tomorrow. You know, like, you don't have to answer someone within 24 hours. That's not like a golden rule. I would say answer them within 1 to 3 days would be a good guideline, but make sure that you're not just giving up your entire life for Beachbody as much as you enjoy it.
Can I add something to that? Mm-hmm. Something that, like, we've said in the beginning that probably gets lost in translation is it's totally okay, and you should set business hours, because this is something that I struggle with, because which you're obviously living right now because you have summer off, like, you have endless time, it feels like. But that doesn't mean that you should be working for 8 hours on Beachbody, because Beachbody isn't your life. It's a part of your life, but it's not your life. And that's definitely something I struggle with. Ryan goes through phases where he's like, you're always on your phone, get off your phone. Like, this whole weekend was like a no phone, well, tried to be a no phone time, because like what Danielle said, we're doing this to build some sort of freedom, whatever that may look like for you. So if when you're done with, you get home from work and you have, 4 to 5, and you're like, I'm going to focus on Beachbody in this hour, say that to your fiance, be like, hey, I'm going to be an hour in my office working on Beachbody. After that, I'm done. I'm putting the phone away. If people respond to me, I'm not going to respond back until tomorrow or until my next business hour. And like Danielle said, people aren't like, why isn't Danielle talking to me? Like, what? She's such a jerk. She was just talking to me 5 minutes ago. Where could she go? Everyone knows that you have a life. And this is definitely something that I've been working on. But it kind of makes you feel a little better to just, all right, I'm done. I'm closing the book. So.
I think it's hard as a new coach to remember that and not feel like you need to get back to every single person right away. But you have to remember that they're going to be there on Wednesday if it's Monday. Like, it's not like they X'd you out. And even if they bought it, like, you inspired them and you figure it out. You switch them to you as your coach. It's not a big deal. You inspired someone. Isn't that what you're doing this for? So don't let it consume your life, because that's not what you're doing this for. As much fun as it is sometimes, there's days where I'd like to do this full time and not do architecture sometimes, but that's the honest truth.
And what Sam said in the text box, if no one else saw that, so smart, because Facebook blocks you out of certain things. Like, sometimes I can't send video links, so I'm like, hey, can I get your cell phone number? And we're text. It's so much easier. So don't be afraid to transition to texting or email.
But also don't play that dangerous game where you need to text them back every single time they text you. It's finding that balance.
And I was going to say, one other thing that you can do is send somebody a message back and say, hey, let's set up a time to talk on the phone. Now, you just got yourself out of this back and forth, and you've set up one time that you're getting everything done in that one conversation. And I know that talking on the phone is scary, but literally, I got on the phone with Noelle, and I had met her once to get into my challenge group. Like, it is a time saver. It is so much more effective. So I would give it a try. It helps.
I try to do that all of the time. I'll say, like, hey, could you talk on the phone? Danielle can definitely say this. I like to talk on the phone. I'm a chatty person. So, like, I prefer to get it all out once. But I struggle with people saying, like, yeah, I can talk now. I feel like they're scared to get on the phone with me sometimes. So do you have any,
Yeah, don't give them an option. Don't say, can you get on the phone? Say, I'd love to chat with you. What time works best for you?
Okay.
So, don't even phrase it like it's an option to them. Phrase it like that's what you do with everyone,
Cool, yeah.
And as soon as they get on and hear your voice and hear that you're happy and hear that you're normal, they're going to be totally fine with talking.
Thank you.
But also don't be afraid to set a timer, Danielle, since I know you like to chat.
That's why I keep myself muted right now.
What else?
This is kind of closely related. Sorry, I'm jumping back in one more time. But yesterday, I was listening to this personal development, and I was taking all of these notes, and I just loved this one phrase. And I think it goes really well with what Danielle talked about tonight. It said wages, like your full-time job, are what pay the bills, and profits, your part-time job, so Beachbody, is what builds your fortune. And I loved that idea. I thought that was such a cool concept that, yeah, your full-time job is paying your bills and that's what's doing that. But the way that you're really going to build your fortune and build your freedom is in your part-time opportunity that you guys have all taken advantage of.
And I will say, I know sometimes it might be hard to relate, but just in a year of Beachbody, I'm slated to hit this month half of my income that I'm making in architecture. So if I can do it, there is no reason that you guys cannot do it. There's absolutely, like Sam said a couple weeks ago, there is nothing that I'm doing that we're not sharing, or I'm not telling you. Do I have hard days? Heck yes. Do I doubt myself? Heck yes. But you know what? I keep showing up every single day, and use this team, use this fuel to help you create your freedom that you want. You just got to keep it all in perspective. It's been crazy. It's weird to even say it out loud. What else? Got 10 more minutes.
I actually make it a goal to talk to someone at work once a week. Because where I work, at least, my floor is full of other nonprofits. So we're all pretty close. And I always have one person that I kind of talk to every week, because I feel like all of us, especially with what I do, we're really overworked. So that's been working really well for me. So that's something that I do every week. So it's something that we talk about, and it's become kind of like a really cool office culture. Where I work, we do walk and talks now instead of having meetings where we're sitting down. So we do things like that, and just not only for the benefits of forming and starting people with programs, but it can change your office culture too, which is really cool. If you bring up anything with Beachbody, people are like, yeah, I want to get healthy, and how can we incorporate that into our work day, which is really cool.
I love that idea. That's so awesome. I wish my office did that.
And it could just be because I work for a nonprofit, and that's kind of how everybody is. But it's been really cool the past couple of months to do that more and talk about our health and our well-being more. So it's been really cool.
I think also that helps you become more comfortable with what you're doing. And, sometimes we sit and message on the computer all the time. I think Sam brought up a good point. Don't be afraid to get on the phone. I mean, that's what I did with Ashley and Danielle. And people really hear the passion in your voice. And I mean, your coworkers might not be friends with you on Facebook, so it might be a little bit harder to share that, but you never know where it can lead. What else?
Well, I wanted to add that sometimes I hesitate talking to my coworkers about it, because then they're going to know how much I'm on Facebook during the day, which could be getting me in trouble.
Yeah, it plays a fine line for sure. And I can totally relate to that. It's balance. You always got to be working on it. What else are you guys struggling with? I promise, if I do it, you can do it too. There's no secret sauce.
Ariana, do you know how to unmute yourself? You said you had a question.
I can unmute her.
Okay.
Go ahead. Tariana, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My question was, would you be willing to show us or share your resources? Like you said, you track your communication, and just so we could get an idea of what that looks like. I work an insane amount. I'm usually gone out the house for maybe 12 hours a day before anything else. And so I find little places to do things. So if I knew what kind of sheet I should be doing, or, a kind of way to carve out 15 minutes here and there, it's better than me trying to come up with it. Yeah. So I was just hoping maybe you could show us or share something that we could use.
I'll post a video that I helped set up my Evernote with that I think will really help you, because she gives the categories, and there's a challenge group script breakdown where you can copy paste like all the resources from the drive so you can have it on your phone. Because I'm the same way. Like usually I'm on the go, so if I can get it on my phone, that's so key.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. What else? Do you guys like struggle with like mostly being consistent or finding the time, or is there a system you're using that you need help making better, I guess?
I guess I just have a question on, I think we all kind of touched base on it. My days are so busy just managing being back at work and juggling being a mom and trying to be consistent with my posting. Like, it is nowhere close to where I know I need to be and how often I need to be. So I don't know if you have any suggestions on how you do your personal posts, because I feel like my challenge group, I'm successful at that because Postcron and my girls, this challenge group, have been phenomenal with keeping each other on track. And yeah, you've seen it, Danielle. They're like phenomenal. And they know that I'm working, so they know I'll post in the morning and then I respond at night. But then I have 12 messages during the day with follow-ups and that, and then trying to find time to get my personal post up. I don't know how to juggle all that. What's more important between those things?
Okay, so something I heard on a wake-up call, because I love to listen to as many as I can, you can plan kind of your post for the month the same way that you do your challenge group. Okay, so hear me out. It may sound really crazy, but kind of like you would do a theme for a challenge group day, like Motivation Monday, Tasty Tuesday, Workout Wednesday. Set those things up as a guideline for every day of the week through a month. And then when you do your monthly calendar ahead of time, write in the events that you have coming up, you know, like if you have a family picnic or whatever, like, you know, that's an easy post to do. And then, you know, you're going to do your workout anyway. You're going to make your shake anyway. Those are easy pictures for you to do and not think about it. So try to work that in a little bit if you can kind of think ahead that way. And you'll see your calendar will start to fill up. And when you start doing personal development, write down any ideas you think of and just plan it ahead. And now I'm not saying post-chron it per se, but you can do the written part in your notes section on your phone if that works for you, and literally copy paste with the picture the day that you need it. Does that help? Okay. It doesn't always work out perfect, but better than nothing, you know? At least you have something to go off of.
Post just took me about 20 minutes, and by the time I posted it was 9:10. So
yeah,
it just took me a long time to get it, and by the time he's down, that's when I do my power hour.
Yep. So do it on a Sunday and just plan it out for the month, you know? I think that will help. Or do it the night before. That's another good thing. If I'm in bed and I get some ideas, I'll write in my notes section, and I keep lots of stuff in there and just copy paste when I can't think of something good.
Something I do too is Sundays when I plan my meals, I also plan when I'm going to work. So I like kind of equate it to the same priority. So, you know, I'm looking at each day and I'm like, I know that this day I have to work until this time and then I have to get dinner with a friend. So like, this is the best time to work. And I just started doing it last week. So I guess I don't have too much to pull from, but it's been working really well for me so far. So I do that on Sundays too, to kind of plan out the week.
Yeah, I think anything you can do is better than just being scatterbrained and all over the place, right? So if you can find something that works for you and your lifestyle and keep doing it consistently, it will only help you, you know? What else? These are all great tips. I love bouncing ideas off. You guys have been doing an awesome job. Our team's been killing it with Team Cup. I just got to say, it's been amazing to see my newsfeed filled with so much positivity and motivation every single day. And it's just growing. Well, that's all I've got. And just remember, structure your time now so that you can have your freedom later, right? Go after it and be disciplined and do it consistently, and it'll pay off. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming, and I hope it was helpful. Feel free to message me if you have any other questions too. I'm an open book. Well, have a good night.